I've been thinking about Dezi Freeman, the guy who was killed by the police this week. They finally caught up with him. He had been on the run for 6 months. And I can just imagine that they surrounded his hideout and for a while tried to communicate with him with the view to arresting him, taking him into custody to face the law in a court of justice. But I guarantee you, Dezi, as a sovereign citizen, was trying to tell these cops, I think about 8 of whomst, oh, look at this, hilarious. At least 8 of them were snipers. And the police have turned up and said, "We've got you surrounded, Dezi Freeman, sovereign citizen." And he has said, yes, I am a sovereign citizen, and thus your laws do not apply to me, and you're not allowed. And one of the snipers, after 3 hours of this shit, went, he's going to say, "We're not allowed to shoot him," isn't he? "You're not allowed to shoot me." And a cop, his finger just pulled the trigger without him thinking about it. You know what I mean? His finger just went, "No, I can't listen to this fucking idiot." Yeah, as an anarchist, I'm an ACAB guy. All cops are bastards. There's no need for cops. Get rid of them. If you are a cop, take off your uniform, quit your job, go do something interesting and useful with your life. But I don't believe you should kill cops because they're human beings. You don't go around murdering people, murdering humans. But anyway, so Dezi Freeman has annoyed these cops, and he was shot. I mean, yeah, obviously, like the more obvious version of the story is, if you kill a cop or cops, the cops will kill you. That's the rules. I try to drum this into my kids' heads. I say to them, "Kids, if you kill a cop, and I know you want to, you're young, they will kill you. You will die. That there's no other way this can go." Dezi Freeman reminds me of my imaginary children, in that he's someone who never reached adulthood. Apparently he was big on going to those rainbow gatherings. These are gatherings where people form a community out in the bush. Look at me just chucking a bit of comedy in there. People gather out in the bush and they form a community for a week or a month. And the first time I heard about this, I was put in mind of, I heard of this as a real young dude, real young. And I was told about one of these things. It was called Confest. And it would actually happen up near Walwa, I think, where Dezi Freeman met his maker. By the way, as a child, I lived in Walwa for a short period of time, just about a year. And for some reason, my father, who was angry about everything all the time, got really angry about the fact that, well, in his mind, it was the fact that I didn't like living out in the country. I don't know how he worked that out. One day, my younger brother and I, we wandered out into the country, and we loved wandering around so much that it got dark. So it wasn't that we got lost. It was that we were having so much fun wandering around the countryside. the beautiful countryside, that suddenly it was dark. Now, technically that's lost because you can't see, but anyway, I don't want to argue the point about how lost I was. It was dark and we couldn't find our way home. At one point we were walking through a paddock. I assume it was a paddock. I don't know. It was fucking dark. We couldn't see anything. And horses galloped all around us in the dark. Oh, what's happened here is my fingers got pinched in a broken branch. See what it's done there? Ouch. Yuck. You might be thinking, Sean, what you're doing here with these branches, that looks dangerous. You're wielding those secateurs, and they're not secateurs, you fucking ignorami. Secateurs. Fuck off. Sorry, I got angry there about dyslexia or something, which is a thing that happens to people who otherwise look like you and I, the dyslexics. Little joke there about, I don't know, people who have, is dyslexia yes, it's a disability because you're not able to do certain things. I don't like it when people say that autism isn't a disability, it's the world and I'm like, the world's bigger than me. The world will tell me what's going on. I'm not going to go around telling the world what's going on. My ego, I got a healthy ego, it's not that fucking big. Got a disability, it's a disability. Anyway, we lived in Walwa for a while. That's just a connection. Otherwise, there is no other connection between me and Dezi Freeman. I never went to those rainbow gatherings. I heard they were described to me and I thought, that sounds fucking horrible, and that sounds like a whole week or a month being surrounded by the kind of people who used to dag around my old man who would grow weed because he was a single father, so he had to do everything himself. He couldn't afford to be cruising around trying to get his hands on marijuana, so he made sure to grow it, along with growing vegetables. Actually, like, he's a very handy guy, right? He would grow his own weed, so he would have weed to smoke at home, so he could smoke weed at home while keeping an eye on us kids. Okay, he was a responsible dope smoker, and what of course happened was every gannet and weasel within a 15-kilometre radius would gravitate to our house to smoke Dad's weed, and that meant I grew up being exposed to stinking, filthy, layabout, rat bastard, thieving, dog, backstabbing fucking hippies. I've never liked hippies, is what I'm saying. I was exposed to them at a young age. Free and easy folk who, while I like the idea of taking it easy, sure. Anyway, so I never went to those festivals. And Dezi Freeman went to those festivals though, and apparently he was super fucking annoying, which to me those people are when I've encountered them in places like Occupy. I got involved in Occupy and there were festival people involved, and even now I have very negative feelings about those Dezi Freemans who got involved with Occupy. You can't even talk about Occupy anymore. The kids don't know what it is. Occupy. Occupy Melbourne. I haven't seen any of those people since then, and I give thanks every day. A lot of them became normal. They became apolitical. They became cowards. They went and sat on the fence. They went, I'm not going to do this protesting stuff anymore. It's too negative. I'm going to contribute in other ways. Fuck off. I just love judging people. Don't you? Don't you love judging people? Don't you love being involved in movements and scenes and circles and giving people the time of day, hearing them out, letting them speak? You know what I mean? And then 5 or 6 years later, you go, no, that guy was a cunt. He wasn't. No, I'm not imagining that. He was a fucking asshole. The Dezi Freemans of this world have a more immediate effect. Anyway, one of the initial reactions to Dezi Freeman being killed, the first reaction I saw, I jumped on Facebook to see what the people were saying, and there was a news story, and the first comment was, "Rest in peace, brother." Wow. I'm not even trying to make a point here. I'm not angry at Dezi Freeman. He's dead. There's no one there to be angry at. I'm not angry at the police. The rules are that if you kill one of them, they kill you. That's, yeah, it's just what it is. The thing is, yesterday, I got to get out of this fucking apartment. I need to stretch my legs. Because there's no green space around here, there's no parks, I can't go for a walk along the creek or along the river. Stretching my legs means jumping into the hatchback and driving over to the Coburg tip shop to see if there's any rubbish there that I can buy and bring back here and make it part of my life. Is there some rubbish that needs to be part of who I am today? And there was. I got a coat rack. I got a coat rack because I saw it. I saw it and it saw me. We saw each other, and I went, I'm gonna hang hanging baskets from this coat rack, and it's gonna break up the space here in this apartment. It's gonna create zones, and it's gonna cost me $10 to do that, and it's gonna be worth it. This is gonna improve my life, and it has. But before I even got to the tip shop, I went past a building site or a soon-to-be building site where the fence, the security fence they put up around it, the temporary fencing, had been blown over by the wind. So the space was accessible, and I saw in there big piles of branches. So I went in there and I grabbed branches. Well, I had to drive home, get my secateurs, and head back to the site, start chopping up branches, chuck them in the hatchback. A dude said to me, he was installing broadband nearby. I said, "Oh, is this your block?" And I said, "Yeah, what it is, it's better to, what the saying, the saying, better to apologise later." And he said, "Yeah, I get what you're saying." And I continued stealing branches from private property like a hippie, scum, dog, dirt freeloader. What you got to do is you got to act like you're supposed to be there. Always act normal when you're doing these kinds of things. I've stumbled across, I've found this way of making art that involves branches. The branches have got to come from somewhere. They've got to come from people's property. Sometimes, in this case, that's what's happened. And then I have to, as part of the artistic process, trim the branches, as you can see. That's what I'm doing here. And it's a long process. And it's work, as you can see. I'm working here. I'm giving you an idea of the amount of work that goes into making these work. Oh, excuse me. Oh. These works of art. A lot goes into it, and I'm so happy doing it because, as I've mentioned before, I've decided to give the the stand-up comedy scene the arse because it's been given me the whole. What tipped me over the edge was I had taken a break from stand-up comedy over the end of the year, and I was taking my sweat time getting back into it, and I caught up with a friend for a coffee, and he said, "Wow, you don't look harassed." I said, "Oh, well, I haven't been doing stand-up comedy." And we both realised, oh, stand-up comedy is making Sean sad. Stand-up comedy makes everyone sad. I watched the first half of a very good comedy special by Greg Larson, Australian comedian, one of the handful of comedians I rate, that I'm interested in at all. And he started the show with a story about not having enough money to buy food. And I thought, this is Greg Larson. This isn't Sean Bedlam. Lots of people know who Greg Larson is. Only a few people know who Sean Bedlam is, but lots of people know who Greg Larson is, and he's got much more of a consolidated acting career than I do in the comedy world, and he's starting his special at the age of 41 talking about not having enough money to buy food. And I turned to my wife and I said to my wife, "Look at my arms, you can see that I've been going to the gym. Thanks, cancer. I've got better muscles than before I had cancer." Anyway, I said to my wife, "Wow, it looks like I've really made the right decision to fucking stop doing stand-up comedy. It's just not, it's sad." Whereas this, look at this guy. It's dark outside, and I'm out there happily doing this incredibly mundane work. You can see I've got my special gloves. On my right hand, I have a thin glove to protect my hand from becoming calloused and broken and bitter from contact with the secateurs. And on the other hand, I have a thick fabric glove to act as some kind of protection against having my fingers cut off by the secateurs that I'm so expertly wielding. I do this shit and I'm fucking happy. And what I've realised is this. See, I'm not a hippie. I don't like hippies. Don't like hippie. Yuck. Spew. Vomit. Yuck. I see the hippies in their off-grid home videos on YouTube, and it's, dude, you look like you live in a fucking landfill. You're an animal. Shut up. Go away. I see the attraction in living somewhere where you can experience something close to complete silence. I get that, sure, but I don't want to live like a fucking animal. Anyway, I do live the off-grid lifestyle when I'm out here on my terrace because there's no power source. I can't run electricity out here. I don't have a tap. I have to walk from the kitchen I've got to water the garden by hand, walking back and forth from the kitchen. It's all got to be like, this is like the 1920s, man. I'm out here doing the hard yards. Anyway, what I'm saying is this shit. I actually value this work. And it's odd because I don't like the concept of being a workaholic. I think that's gross. Don't like workaholics either. Don't like hippies, don't like workaholics. They're both the same kind of shithead as far as I'm concerned. They're the two sides of the same fucking boring coin. I hope this is helping. I don't know if it's helping me at all, saying these things. Just trying to fucking... I've got to go to the gym later. I haven't been for a couple of days because I've been busy doing things like this. Oh, so I'm doing this right. You would think, Sean, why not just... If this is all the offcuts from all your work, cleansing those branches to prepare them to become part of a work of art, this here, you can just put it through a mulcher. No. Because I told you this before, I had a mulcher and the fucking thing cost me like $120 and it didn't even fucking work. No, I do it this way. Which, as I'm saying it and as I'm watching the video evidence right now, I feel pretty stupid. This is an incredible amount of work. What the fuck am I doing? Am I mentally fucking ill? What kind of, what, oh, I'm a frightening person. Like what is wrong with me? Wow. Well, I've been lied to since I was a little boy. You know, we lived up in Walwa where Dezi Freeman went on to have an interaction with the police. That was his final one. When we were living up in Walwa, and I loved it. I loved being out in the country. I loved it. It was beautiful. It was unreal. I would wander around in my imagination in the countryside. But my father was convinced that I hated it. I don't think that was true. I think he hated it. He used to go on about the country. See, now there's people, right, like hippies and like workaholics, and what they do is they kind of idolize or whatever the country. They get real weird about it, and they talk about it like it's this place that only a certain kind of person, loves it out there in the bush, the countryside. And then there are people like me, apparently, according to my father, who don't like it. You're city folk. As if these things aren't locations. The city is a location. The country is a location. You're not special because you drive a battered ute. Wait, hang on. I can't settle on a subject for conversation today. I'm all over the place, which, hey, a little while ago, quite a while ago, a comedian who's very pretentious posted, said, hey, I'm looking for some books to read. I'm actually in an input period. And that's what they call wanting to read some books. I'm in an input period. What I'm saying is that, I don't know what I'm saying. Everyone and everything pisses me off except being creative, doing creative things. And so I'm going to make these sculptures. I'm going to shoot videos of the work that's involved in it. And I'm going to play the video on the TV. I'm going to record myself doing that. And that's going to be fucking mental. And it's going to make me feel good, even though as I'm doing it, it feels like there's no point to anything well, no, it doesn't feel like that. It just feels like I'm watching a crazy person doing this. I'm a fucking crazy person. I'm just mental. Yeah, look at that. Not a well man. Just a guy who's got fucking a lot of issues, a lot of problems, a lot of bitterness, big chip on his shoulder, feels like the world owes him something, and then has this sort of negative view of himself that maybe he's a bit of a piece of shit. So puts himself through these kind of rituals to prove to himself that actually, oh no, I love work. I love effort and trying and having a go. I'll try anything. I'm brave and interesting. But I like me. When is this footage going to end so that I can stop fucking talking? This is going to end, and I'm going to go to the gym and forget all about whatever it is that's. I'm still going to upload this. I'm going to upload this. I believe in the process. No editing. No editing. No censorship. Free speech. I'm just like Dezi Freeman, aren't I? No one is allowed to say no to me. Yeah. So that's the message of today's. No one's allowed to say no to me. I'm never wrong. Everything is everyone else's fault. Also, I'm the best. I'm a genius. Also, I'm good at everything. Also, I make great choices. Also, I'm very good looking and smart. The end.